I knew that they had a lot of money under management. I didn't quite understand how much money they had under management though. So Vanguard managed $6.2 trillion. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I am time pressured today, so I have to do this in one take. So fingers crossed we can get this done. Anyway, this video is going to mark the beginning of a series on Vanguard, and it's going to mark a wider series on product providers specifically. But for the Vanguard series, what I've noticed on YouTube is there are loads of videos about Vanguard, tutorials and stuff, but they kind of like mush all of the options that you have available with Vanguard into one video. I want to do something different. I want to pay attention to each of the options that you have with Vanguard and give you some real pointers, things to consider, given my experience in the industry and being qualified as a financial advisor, that will really, really empower you. So that little bit of extra nuance to empower your decision. Why is this important? Because as a first-time investor, everybody talks about Vanguard being low cost, and they are. However, they've got the lifestyle strategy funds, they've got their target retirement funds, they've got their index and active funds, they've got their ETFs. So as a first-time investor, if you're only just starting out, how do you know which one of these to use? So through this series, I plan to empower you to be able to make your own decision on these. We're going to start off in this video with the lifestyle strategy funds. There are 5 of them altogether, so there's a lot to get through. Buckle up. We're going to get into it right now. By the way, if you've not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure that you smash the like button on this video. Like literally, it is needed for the YouTube algorithm for people like you to see this video so that they can also learn and benefit from some of the knowledge and some of the things that I share on this channel. So please don't forget to do that. And if you do find value from this video, can I ask you a big favor to share this across your social media? Share it with a friend who also wants to invest. It will really, really help me out. So let's get into Vanguard. Vanguard have been around for a very long time. Well, I say very long time, like they've been around for hundreds of years. They've been around for about 46 years, roughly. They started in 1975. They were founded by a guy called Jack Bogle. Now, when I do reviews, obviously we have to start looking at regulation. Are they authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority? Do you have protections under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme? The answer to that is yes, you get both with Vanguard. They are one of the big boys. They were founded in America, but they are a global outfit essentially. So they've been regulated here in the UK. You do have the protections, and they are very well known. One of the great things about Vanguard is actually that, you know, they create funds, investment vehicles that other companies actually buy as well. So even if you're looking at the likes of like BlackRock, for example, you will find Vanguard ETFs and Vanguard index funds in other providers' portfolios as well. And that kind of is testament to the fact that they have been around for a very long time, and they are very good at what they do. I'm going to share a staggering figure with you because I knew that they had a lot of money under management. I didn't quite understand how much money they had under management though. So Vanguard managed $6.2 trillion in funds for customers worldwide. $6.2 trillion. Now, let me just bring that number into context. And I did a bit of research on this, guys. This is mind-blowing. So with $6.2 trillion, you could buy 26,495,726 Lamborghini Huracan Evos. Mind-blowing. You could buy over 2 million Bugatti Chirons priced at 3 million quid each. You could buy 112,727 Gulfstream G550s. And if you look at the population of the UK, so there are 68 million of us right now in the UK, you could give everybody in the UK £91,176.47. They manage a huge amount of money globally. And that should actually give you comfort because it means that they're a trusted brand. It means that they have size, it means that they have scope, and it means that they actually have volume. Now, because they've been around for a long time, they do have one little thing that I wish that they would do different, and that is the fact that they don't actually have an app. They don't. And they say, well, the website works perfectly on mobile phones, which it does, but in the 21st, well, we're in 2021. I mean, like, you need to have an app, guys. Like, they've got enough money to be able to develop one, and really there is no excuse. Whether that's on the radar, I don't know, but that's one thing that I think for many people, because we just don't buy and use providers because they're great, we also consider how we're going to use them, what the user experience is. And I think that if they had an app, they would probably get a few more younger people who are just starting out use them, because people like to have things on their phone. I've got my investments on my phone. Why would I, it's great to have it on your phone. That's just one thing that I wish that they did differently. But Vanguard are a huge company, but they have lots of options. So what I want to do now is let's have a look at the account opening process, just to give you a very, very brief overview of how you actually get your account open in the first place. I'm going to jump over to my computer right here. Okay, so this is the Vanguard website. So when you land on this, you need to go to open your account. Now, it's going to tell you everything that you need to have handy in order to open your account. So there it is, national insurance number, debit card details, your bank account details. Very, very few bits of information that you actually need. You click start an application, and you're going to be presented with 4 options. Now, you know me, you've heard me speak so many times about what accounts you should be starting with, but let's just walk through each of these 4 accounts, and we can talk about what they are and who they might be suitable for. So if you've got a junior ISA is basically if you have children and you want to start saving for your kids, you can save up to £9,000 currently into a junior ISA. You have a Vanguard pension. So that is if you're specifically looking to save for retirement. So if you're younger, you're probably going to be in a workplace scheme if you're employed. If you're self-employed, you could use this potentially, but this is a pension pot for retirement specifically. It means that you won't be able to access this money until you reach the age of 55. So something that's very, very worthwhile bearing in mind. The next account that you have is the Vanguard General account, and this is kind of just a general investment account. This doesn't particularly have any tax-free benefits or of any kind like the junior ISA and the pension. It's just a general investment account. Now, when you follow me, you know that I always say that if you're a first-time beginner, a first-time investor, then you really should be starting with your ISAs first, because I say tax efficiency first. It has to be the rule. So if you are a first-time investor, you've not opened a stocks and shares ISA already this current tax year, then you would click this one right here and open your account. Now, if you have already got a stocks and shares ISA open, let's just say it is with Moneybox or Trading 212 or Wealth of Byte or Nutmeg or with a bank, for example, and you wanted to transfer your ISA over, you could move your existing ISAs over to Vanguard. Now, why might you do that? You might do that if you are paying high fees with your current provider and you want to access something that is slightly less in terms of your overall cost. So you would click transfer an account, and it would take you through a questionnaire of who your current ISA is with, and it will get that information and get the ball rolling. But for this purpose, we're going to go click account. Now, when you do this, it's really, really important, guys. I know that sometimes when you're opening accounts, it can be very, very boring and you want to get stuff done, but it is worthwhile, having a little read through the key features, the ISA declaration, maybe not the privacy policy, maybe not the terms and conditions. I mean, you can if you want to, but I would be paying attention to these 2 right here, essentially. The terms and conditions won't be too dissimilar to what you're probably used to if you've opened investment accounts before, and the privacy policy will be pretty much in line with GDPR, right? So you would click on those, make sure that you read them, then you just go here, and then you proceed. And this will essentially take you through the choice of your funds, right? And this one is automatically selected for some reason, the LIFESTRATEGY 40% equity fund for me here. And it's already telling me at the bottom that I've got £20,000 as my ISA allowance with these guys. But essentially, you would select this amount. I believe that you have to have £500 to open an account with Vanguard. So you would enter your amounts here, and then you would literally click next. But what I want to do for the rest of this video is actually talk specifically about the lifestyle strategy funds, because they are great, they are awesome. However, if you're a first-time investor, you need to kind of know what you're looking for. You need to know how to interpret the information and be able to select the lifestyle strategy fund that matches you. Guys, pay attention to everything that I'm about to go through. This is really, really important. I do not want anybody starting off their investment journey making a huge mistake in terms of the option that they select. They have a really bad experience and then it puts them off investing for life. We need to start with caution. We need to start with the right outlook to do the right thing and start to progress from there. People often get too excited about investing because it's all about gains. I can make a load of money. There is a downside to this as well. And investing is not gambling. It's all about trying to stack the odds in your favor so that you have the best chance of making money and the least chance of losing money. So please pay attention to what we're going to talk about. So let's have a look at the lifestyle strategy fund. Okay, so the first thing to know is that there are 5 lifestyle strategy funds available with Vanguard. They are essentially listed as or called blended funds, and they're called blended funds because they use 2 asset classes, 2 popular asset classes. They use equities and they use bonds. Now, the 5 options are risk weighted. What that essentially means is they have a different level of risk for a different kind of investor. Now, one of the things that you absolutely have to know before you begin investing is what risk are you willing and able to take? Able to take being the operative word here. Most first-time investors either come out as I'm balanced or a 5 out of 10, or most people believe for some reason that they're an 8, 9, a 10. They want to really take high risk when actually you may not be able to take that level of risk. This is a really, really important concept, guys. And what I always encourage people to do is to find out what your natural risk tolerance is, what your natural risk appetite is, so that you understand that when you start looking at these 5 options, you know which one of the 5s is your natural position on the risk scale. Now, if you don't know what your risk scale is, this is something that I do in coaching, so consider taking at least one coaching session with me. I can walk you through this and I can help you understand how that risk element plays with the decisions that you essentially make. There's a link in my description. But in Vanguard, there are 5 options. So you've got the 20% equity fund, the 40% equity fund, the 60, the 80, and the 100% equity fund. Now, Vanguard are known for being very, very low cost. So as you can see here, the ongoing charge, the OCF is 0.22% across all of them. What you will typically see across the industry is if you have a 20% fund, which has only got, 20% equity in it, the rest in this case is filled with bonds, you're likely going to have most of the time, typically, this being the most cost-effective option that you could choose. And then this cost will ratchet up depending on how much more equity you have within your portfolio. But with Vanguard, because they are low cost and that's one of their 4 core pillars and ethos, they keep the price identically the same across all of them, even though you've got a 100% equity option right here. So it's really important to acknowledge that the charging structure is essentially flat. Now here you have got your risk kind of like score for each of these. So with Vanguard, I believe they score out of 7. This is a 3, this is a 4, and these 2 here are 5s out of 7. Now I'm not going to go through each of these 5 because they are built pretty much with the same investment theory or ethos essentially, and that is to give you some access to the equity markets but give you some security using bonds. And bonds are essentially like IOUs. So you have either a government bond or a corporate bond, which will be a bond that you make with a company like Apple, for example. They are big bond issuers. And with a bond, essentially what you're saying is, I will lend Apple money. I'll lend them £10,000, for example, and Apple is going to repay me with a 2% return every single year for the next 5 years. So within 5 years, you're going to get a 10% return on your investment. Bonds are designed to give you a level of certainty within your investment portfolio. So as you can see here, for the very low risk portfolio at 20%, what they're doing is they've given you 80% almost known returns within your investment. And you've got 20% to speculate on the equity markets. The same theory applies, but in different measures across the remaining of the 5 funds that you have available with Lifestyle Strategy, apart from the very last one, which is the 100% equity fund, because you don't have any known outcome. You are fully speculative with the 100% equity fund, meaning that your risk on this one is 10 out of 10, if you were to score it on a scale of 10. Really important for you to understand that notion, that idea right there, if you're just starting out, because you may be nervous about losing money. And rightly so. Markets go up and down every single day. So you do need to make sure that you're taking a level of risk that you are comfortable with. And unless you know how these things operate and how they work, you're not going to be able to make an informed decision. So I hope this essentially helps. Now, I'm not going to go through each of these 5, but I am going to pay attention to the top one, which is the 20% equity fund. Now, you've got performance figures on here, which we're going to have a look at, but what are some of the key things to pay attention to? So let's go into this right here. And here you're going to basically see a very, very brief overview of the fund. So you've got the asset allocation here. It's telling you that it's got 20% in shares. It's got 80% in bonds. That's the makeup that you're seeing in this pie right here. You've got the ongoing charge, the OCF, which is 0.22%. So very, very cost effective. And you've got the risk score here being 3 out of 7. Now, this is the net asset value. We'll come back to that in a moment because that is all related to the performance of the actual fund. Okay. And if you look on this side of the screen, you'll see that it is ISA ready. So you can have it as a tax-free account. You could also have it as part of a general account where you're not really looking at any tax benefits. And it may be because you've already used your £20,000 allowance for the year already. Now, it gives you some really, really key information on this screen right here. It gives you the inception date. It gives you the investment structure. It gives you the share class, all that kind of stuff. Now, what I would pay attention to if I was looking to purchase this as a first-time investor is the performance, because the performance is actually important. And, with Vanguard, I'm very, very impressed with this because even though it's got 20% in equities and most of it in bonds, it still did 7.51% last year in 2020. Pretty good return overall. And you can see the 5-year performance right here on the graphs. And look, it's really important to acknowledge past performance is no indication to future performance. However, this is really, really good performance. And if it were to perform in the same vein moving forward, then you could hazard a guess that you're going to get some really, really good returns moving forward. So the performance of this, they call it the net asset value, essentially. So you've got the performance details there. Now, this is just another graph just showing you some performance details on a graph form. It's very, very worthwhile you paying attention to this document right here, which is the key investors information document. And this one right here really just gives you a bit more about the actual fund itself. So it is going to reiterate the fact that it is invested 80% in shares, 20% in shares, 80% in bonds. It's also going to give you a confirmed risk rating across, the fact that they score to a 7. It's a 3 here. And it's also going to give you confirmation of your charges. Now, I would be paying attention to this section here because if there are any other charges that are associated with your fund, it will typically be highlighted in this section right here. So you can see there's no entry charge, no exit charge. And entry charges and exit charges are important because oftentimes what providers will do is they will say, you've got to pay a fee of X% to get in and X% on your way out. So to buy and to sell the fund. With Vanguard, because their ethos is to try and keep cost low, they don't actually have this. And this could have a really, really big impact on your performance, well, on your returns, I would say, and definitely on your performance if you're a first-time investor, only investing little bits to get you started. If you've got a ton of money set aside, then you possibly need to have a look at a different strategy because you may need different things and want different things as an investor. But if you're a first-time investor, the entry charges and the exit charges are really, really important. As you can see as well, there is no performance fee here either. So that if they do really, really well, they're not charging you a fee for, doing a good job. They're not, so to speak, patting themselves on the back, right? So really important that you pay attention to that part of the key investors information document as well. You've got past performance here too, and there's some practical information right there. I'm just going to come back out of this. Okay, so the next thing worthwhile having a look at is the portfolio data. You're going to find that here. And essentially, the portfolio data is going to give you an understanding of what is actually in this fund. Now, one of the things with Vanguard is Vanguard packs Vanguard funds with Vanguard instruments. So instruments being, this bond index fund. Instruments being this ETF that they have right here. Anything that you see within this portfolio is essentially an instrument. And as you can see, they're all Vanguard built and researched, packaged into this lifestyle strategy fund. Now, you've got a variety of things in here. So you've got a global bond index, which is essentially going to be global bonds from across the world. It is, in British pounds, and it's an accumulation. So it's going to obviously accumulate. It's not going to be paying out the return on a monthly basis. So it's an accumulation. You've also got the FTSE Developed World, excluding the UK equity index in here. So that's a little bit of equity exposure. You've got UK government bonds. So that's actually lending money to the UK government. So you've got that in there. You've got investment grade credit index fund. So an investment grade fund or bond, this will be a bond, is essentially when you lend money to a company with a really, really good credit score. So bonds typically, when you're looking at lending to a business, are either classed as investment grade or junk bonds. Investment grades are the good ones. It means that they have really, really good credit. Junk bonds, you'll slightly get more return for because obviously the risk is higher. They don't have such a good credit score. But with an investment grade company, they have a really good credit score. So you won't get as much, but your risk of default is pretty minimal. So you've got quite a bit in there. You've got Euro government bonds in there. You've got inflation-linked gilts in there as well, which are government bonds that are inflation-linked, so go up in line with inflation. You've got a variety of things in here. This gives you an idea of what you're actually invested in. Now, if you wanted to, you could go and do some further research on each of these, but I trust that Vanguard have done some serious due diligence to ensure that this makeup of this fund is spot on for the mandate that they've set, being they want security, but giving you some exposure on the equity side. And you can see from a percentage point of view how much you hold in each of these, giving you a 100% weighting. Really, really important stuff. I would definitely pay attention to that if you want to know the detail. I would also have a look at cost and minimums, which is this one right here. And this just really confirms the ongoing charge for this fund being 0.22. There are no entry or exit charges. You have to have a one-off payment of 500 quid to get into this. And if you're going to do monthly direct debits, you need £100 as well. It does give you a comparison between a similar fund. So if you were to go externally, it's having a look at an average similar fund. So a fund with 20% equity, 80% in bonds, and it's basically giving an indication of the cost comparison. So it's telling you here that if you went for a similar fund externally, then you'll be paying around about, what's that, £1,400 roughly for it. It's telling you that actually you're going to save just over £1,000 for this particular fund with Vanguard. And again, if you're looking to keep your costs down as an investor, as a first-time investor, this is really, really, really important. But guys, I hope that you found that useful. There's a lot that I've gone through there. This is going to be part of a wider playlist that I'm going to create specifically for Vanguard. The next video that we'll do won't be next week, it'll probably be the week after. We'll cover probably the target retirement funds, because I know that that is something that most people have been asking me about. I've actually got a stream of work coming for some content around pensions and retirement planning specifically. But guys, let me know whether you thought this video is useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Again, please share, because people need to see this. So lots of first-time investors, and this kind of stuff is really, really important to them as well. If you're not listening to the podcast this week, make sure you go and listen to the podcast. And remember, as always, money is a tool, life is for living. I will catch you next week.